Good morning. Well, let's look at charts. All right. Well, it's all about NVIDIA. Nothing else matters. Right? Does it break out of this range into this void and lift this market to new all-time highs, dragging the software sector up with it? So we got a partial, right? Which means it isn't confirmed, a breakdown failure in the software sector here. This chart, the ETF. It didn't close all the way to the top of the range. But yesterday, pre-market, I mentioned about voids. And we look at the S&Ps and the Qs, but the power of the void is one of the most powerful things that I ever came across. And it's not like it wasn't always there. It was just never talked about. Support, resistance, yes. No one ever talked about what if there was no support or resistance? Yeah, I know, new all-time highs, so on and so forth, but not from that point of view. And the idea or the concept of the void being the weakest link, it flies in the face of basic technical analysis. So initially it wasn't about just that. Voids were, my focus was why do certain prices trend and why others don't when the initial patterns look the same. For example, this part of the pattern right here in NVIDIA is right here. You know, you had a nice move up, pullback was bought, it's going sideways. You see a bottoming tail bar. You know that there's buyers on the dip. And you see something like this and something else. And this has got room to run, right? Because there's little to nothing to stop it because it's been going sideways for so long. So you've got, momentum moves and then time corrections create this void. And so this has been tested, partially here, and here. So you see a pattern like this. I know there's earnings coming out, but it's got the potential to trend. And that gives us a bias. Whereas you see a pattern like this in something else, I don't have an example, but it breaks out and it fails because there's no void. So this is the initial part of looking at voids and bar by bar analysis. Whereas what we see happening the last few days, you say, well, it is kind of crazy because we've been dealing with this market, dealing with uncertainty. This is a picture of uncertainty in the spiders. But we see a wide range bar up. What does a wide range bar display? Power. Buyers are in control. But you look inside of it, well, that's over here. This is a smaller one, and it creates a void. If you look at this on a smaller time frame, you see it's much clearer, whereas this one here is just bar by bar. It moves up, making higher highs and higher lows, just a giant momentum move. And so after it goes sideways, it's supposed to go up. Well, not in this market. Right? You can see it was up near the prior highs, so it should have went sideways and then up, but it didn't. Traders get disappointed. Oh, it's not going to work, and we know there was news at that time, but it falls all the way back. And the last few days, power up, should go up. Inside day, power up. No, power down. Oh, power down. Okay, it's going to go down and test major support. No, it stabilizes. Yesterday, there was a little breakdown failure down here. It was more evident on IWM. Power right back up again. So we come into today and we see where prices are at. They're right at the top of the range, which of course, this day-to-day price action begins to train us like Pavlov's dogs, right? Oh, now it should go back down again. Maybe, right? Maybe. But maybe it goes sideways and it consolidates, which would kind of make more sense to me, waiting for NVIDIA, unless NVIDIA just rips this morning, just keeps going up. And that means somebody knows something and it's going up. And maybe it drags the markets up with it. But In any event, the normal price pattern in a situation like this would be a little consolidation and then back up again. But who knows? It's at the top of the range, right? Give or take. You can see where my cursor is as I move it on the lower right chart and put it on the chart over here. Maybe it goes right back down again. And what would cause that? Well, apply bar by bar analysis. What if it rattles around like something like this for a half hour, an hour? It gaps up, or it attempts to go up, and forms a topping tail bar and gets rejected. That begins to tell day traders, intraday traders, that supply is coming in and someone's taking advantage of any attempt to go higher into this void up here, and it maybe gets knocked back down. So, like every day, we're faced with what's happening today, how do we trade it? And so we go to a higher time frame, and what's our bias? Right? This is what Dan coined many, many, many years ago as a bear sandwich. Right? The meat's in the middle there, up bar, down bar, up bar. And so the question is, can it get above those highs? And that's what we face today. So we create a bias every day. That's what we're doing here right now. And we then look at another market. And here's the SPX. 6,900 has been the middle of this whippy trading range for quite a while now. And of course, yesterday stopped right there. And so as we get through today and the earnings come out, if it's going to move higher, right? Ideally, we get some rattling around today. You can see this little void because of this move down, and prices can propel themselves up back to the top of the trading range. But let's see how it handles 6,900, which is essentially, it's a little bit above that if it opens where we saw the spiders right now, because the spiders are right, you can see the cursor based on SPY right there. Now, should it go down here today? No. No, we've got a big green bar. No, should not go down there today. Should it go up here today? No. We've got this uncertainty of earnings coming out, right? And I'm watching NVIDIA today. We'll watch the semiconductors. They're poking to new all-time highs. And we want to watch some of these semiconductors that haven't been moving. And so that's something we need to review today in the room for catch-up trades. So how does it deal with 6,900? What kind of day we're going to have today? We'll watch bar by bar in the morning, well, after the open, and get some insight. But these two extremes today, I believe, will not be touched. There's no great economic news, significant economic news coming out today either to move things. So it's all about earnings. And then we'll see. There's a lot of upside potential. How much NVIDIA puts a cap on things or helps to propel them, and we'll keep an eye on that. But you can see here's a beautiful void. So some sideways price action would always be the bias. A strong move up, even though there's a void below, because of the strong move up, you apply bar by bar at this resistance area. And if it breaks out, you go with it. All right, let's look at IWM. And where is it at? Top of the trading range. No void. Whereas yesterday, you had right down here, this was in the morning. This was a nice little setup. So yesterday, prices were down here. And you look intraday, and it had this rounding bottom. And then in the morning, it made that bottoming tail bar right there. And you get a little, that was the setup that I was looking at. I know this thing has, let's do that, market. Whatever. I'm trying to draw there. But you get what I mean. That little bar right there, same story. Get a bias from a higher time frame. Again, this was a big down bar. It's like, okay, it'll go down here. Well, the intraday didn't align with that. And then we got this, and there was a void above, back up again. All right. So you got the idea. And oh, look at the Dow diamonds beginning to break out there. Look at that bottoming tail bar. That's the power of bar by bar analysis. Now I'd have to put that in the context of multiple time frames, of course, but that's a nice correction bar right there. Let's look at the futures. And it's not exactly the same. It usually isn't, but look at the pattern. Similar pattern to what IWM was yesterday, pre-market, not pre-market, the prior day. But look at the pattern. Rounding bottom, bottoming tail bar, bullish price action. It should keep going up. I mean, this would have been a great pattern. I wasn't looking at it pre-market, but look, if this was a setup at 10 o'clock or 10:30, that would definitely be a go with. Right? And we look at price patterns, right? And assume that the ones from the past are going to produce the same thing in the present. So Qs look good to go higher. Again, there's your void. Looks great. See if NVIDIA keeps going up. Let's look at gold. Looks great. And came out of this buy setup here. Red bar ignored in development mode, so to speak. We'll see if we get a green bar today. And if we do, then above that high, it goes higher. Silver looks great. Look, folks, void, wide range bar, the weakest link. It rebuilds, pivots, making a bottom. Little to nothing to stop it from going up. Now, I know you can put your Fibonacci's on there and who knows what, extensions and all of that, but there's just nothing there that's real. There's nothing real. There's $100, whole number, that'll come into play. And look how there's a little bitty overlapping bars over there lined up with $100. So that could be a stall point, but this looks great. All right. Crude oil, consolidating, bullish price action after a move up. Not good for inflation. I mentioned in the newsletter over the weekend, price of oil and gasoline is up 20% in a short amount of time. But what's offsetting to some extent is interest rates. They're stable today. But look, and this is, again, we've talked about this. This market has just been plagued with whipsaws, breakout, and retest. Not supposed to do this. There's other influences with interest rates of what's going on. But when we look at patterns from just a technical point of view, after a power move up, pullbacks are bought, and it's supposed to go through the high, not stall and break back down again. So, again, interest rates coming down, mortgage prices going down, helping home builders and construction and so on and all of that. All right. Bitcoin, a little bit of an improvement. I don't think it's out of the woods yet, but it's beginning to negate that red bar. So earlier in the week, right, we talked about how this was coiling and it was getting tighter. Then it broke down. And now it's coming back up again. If this can complete this pattern and get back up into this area, you got to think long. I know it's in a downtrend, but look at the 65-minute. That's on here. Move up. Now, yep, there's plenty of a mess over there to the left. We're going to see how it deals with it. It might go right back down again, but if it goes sideways, we know what that means. All right. Well, lithium's going to look the same. And as you can see, it's got to deal with all of that. Resistance is SMH, knocking on the door to new all-time highs. And it's at a new all-time high. Right now, it's breaking out above those highs. So, all right, let's look at short-term interest rates. They're not doing anything. That tells us the Fed is not going to do anything. A lot of talk about it. There's another semiconductor index. So there's ones in here that are underperforming. We're going to look through that. And other than that, well, that had the split in it. Financials, right? That's one of the problems here. So I see they're up. Can they get to turn around? What we want, if this market's going to go up, even if it goes, I don't know if it can get through the top of the range, but in any event, for the market to go up, we'd like to see weak sectors participate. I'm not saying it'll change this being in a downtrend. That's a problem. But if they can help, right, lift, help doing some of the heavy lifting, it would be great. And so financials got a big shellacking, another AI casualty. And yeah, we'll see how it goes today. Well, Dan. Dan, post your link for your presentation tomorrow. I think you should have it handy. Dan's going to be doing a great presentation on Thursday on 1, 2, 3 patterns.
Good morning. Yeah, I did it yesterday. Let me grab it again here. So we had the Trump last night, and yeah, we were talking about it. I said it because my recollection was like I good speechwriters, it's motivational, and I thought we would gap up because that's what my history recollection is. All right. Gappers first, ITA. Up alarm looks great. Look at that. Yeah, the full breakout, kind of an inverse head and shoulder. Nice bottoming tail yesterday. Looks great. Gold we're in, up alarm. But silver, well, I'd like silver to go. Your chart looked different than mine, Greg. This one,
I was showing the futures. You're looking at the ETF.
yeah, that's why. Yeah, because yours look better than this. This is up 3 bars at resistance, but it is gapping up. CCC. Ah, okay. Well, this might have been an earnings stock, and I had an up alarm as a possible breakdown failure. So we will watch that. So Alex, you said you didn't find any earnings trades. I'll tell you the ones that I like, obviously, like I always do, and this is one of them. 30-minute high, target 20 MA. And bots, we're in. Up alarm, that looks great. Sophie, we're in trail mode short. I had an up alarm.
The ETF letter is in. It's
Correct.
not a green room trade. Just to make clear.
So that's adjusting that coin we're in. That's a beautiful bottoming pattern. Kind of a pseudo inverse head and shoulder, but we had these climos and then we were all focused. Well, we're focused on climos here, managing the bounce on the climo, then watching for potential W bottoms, and this was a new low plus. And having a hard time getting going, but now with the gap up, that looks great for 30-minute high and put spread. We're already in the directional, but let's do a put spread. And I think that's it. The XLU alarm was yesterday, Munster yesterday, FSIL. These are all longs that we're in. Looks great. Let's go to earnings now. I deleted a bunch of them already. So just tell me if I don't cover yours. Oh, here, let me get Thomas here first. Fig. Yeah, I like the 15-minute chart. I'm not crazy about it as a directional, but put spread and day trade. CCJ. I don't like this congestion over here. But you know what? Compare this pattern to this gold stock that we were talking about yesterday. See how it's a little similar, this continuation pattern? But this one has a higher target. This one a target 52.53, whereas that CCJ it's going to run into this quicker, so it has less of a target. Deck, sloppy but bullish daily weekly. I'll put it on, see if it can simmer down a little bit. Earnings, Zeta, that's a put spread idea. Down a lot from 24. Potent retest, 180. Was up, now it's filling the gap. So as long as it doesn't fall apart, then 30-minute high. Dealer Packer down another $1. I mean, that's just looks horrible. But no pattern. Oh, there's my 3 Charlies. All right, workday, bottom right here. It's kind of a sloppy gap and snap. Gapping down $14 after down from whatever, 2.25. But as of right now, pre-market, it's not holding. So it doesn't matter. We'll just watch it. I'll tell you if we do get a setup. This LDP gapping up. Man, it's sloppy. That's a solar stock. I know Fizzlers got killed. We'll get to it in a second. Gapping down 950. Elsa, EV car company. Still looks bad. There's a potential bottoming pattern here and here, and they both failed. YW 1315. It's an excessive gap. Hypothetically, if it were just gapping to like, let's say 1160, 1170, I'd say buy 5-minute high. But gap's too big. GoDaddy getting killed. I actually, so this one's against me. I shorted the 80s. So pre-market here, when it fell down, I shorted stock to hedge. So that's, what that's Trent's strategy. And it's the only way to hedge pre-market when your options aren't open. So how do you hedge? With stock, of course. So I'll just unwind out of that. But in terms of a new trade, it's a big gap, but from consolidation, I have no bias. We're gonna just watch it. Trex 45, that's a bullish guy, top of the range. Let's watch that on a pullback. Cava, Gustavo's company, big gap. I'm watching a pullback. It's a breakout on the weekly also. EXLS gap in the 30, no pattern. Fizzler getting whacked, so I'm going to watch this as it's a bearish gap, so it's not a gap and snapper like possible workday, but I just throw it into the big old gap category. Let's just watch it. Ideally, though, that's still a nasty gap, even at 200. So ideally, it just sells off more. It has room to fall. So that's going to be a drag on tan. ETF. Camping World, gap in 890. That's a big ugly gap. It might be one of those excessive gap. Let's come back to it. Dawn had this open flat, I would say, by the highs here. Let's set an alarm at 12 to see if he can come back and negate that gap. Resi, that's a bullish gap. So watch a pullback. Axon. Oh, this is the other one I did. I sold a naked 250 for $1.25. So I'll just wait 5 minutes and then close it. I should be able to buy a higher strike and then get a free put spread. TMDX 142. I don't like the overlapping bars, but a put spread idea. TMDX. Maroon shows it down. I don't see any prints though. That's bearish gap. Gap in a 36, bottom of the range. Like the pattern. This is a potential inverse head and shoulder. I'll set an alarm 87, 82, 82.90. Oh, wait, my minder says it's gapping to 85.40. I don't see any prints. So we'll come back to him. Mealy, that's a bad closing. Bear 123 with room to fall. Weekly, monthly with 1780. I don't like trading expensive stocks. Spreads are bad. Land I like. Daily, weekly, monthly. Weekly's extended, but monthly's breaking out. Daily it's rested. So that's interesting. This gap, and this was a potential retest pattern, but now it's gapping down, so no interest unless it recovers. I'm going fast here to finish. That would have been a good 1, 2, 3, but it's now gapping to the lows. That's potential retest, but zero turn right now. So I don't know. Just got to keep monitoring it. SPXC, it's bullish, all time frames. TJX is a mess. LOW, Home Depot was yesterday. 265. That's getting whacked pretty good. No pattern. We'll come back. BMO, bullish gap, but no pattern. Mandolin 47. No pattern, but a recent IPO all-time highs. That's a mess. Luther 482 was down, now up. That's range bound. APG, not bad. Could be 30-minute high. All right, Hearn alarm. Okay, so I'll reset the alarm. 131.50. He's starting on. That's a nice gap. That's a nice gap in the Qs. Gapping over all this consolidation. So obvious first target, these prior highs, but it still has a void. I wonder if it's going to be one of these days where it just grinds through that like a Pac-Man. I have no friggin' idea. But what I can tell you is it's a bullish 15, it's a bullish gap, it's a bullish 5-minute bar so far, and from the first minute. Or earnings here. Oh, circle, that's a big old gap. Wow. That looks like a nice intermediate term bottom now in circle. I was hoping we'd get a 1, 2, 3, but it's a put spread. Yesterday's low. YOU, that's a monster gap. Living, no pattern. All right, those are all the earnings. Let me start going through alarms now. IBM. I sold a put on that, but then I took my money yesterday to the close. I just think it's down so much that you're going to start getting some fundamental people looking at it. Sierra November, up alarm. We are in this, doing nothing. Reset the alarm to 131. BWA alarm. Alex, that was yours. And I said, I wish it had a bottoming tail. Block alarm. That's bottoming pattern, gapped up, but no pattern. ITA. All right, that's an old alarm. So those are all my alarms. KMB. I have an alarm, Alex. I know you're in it. APG. Gapped up. Ever. Is still bottoming. Look at the volume look at the volume the last 3 weeks on that thing. All right, we still Microsoft's all right, Apple, we have a put spread, half lot left, it's fine. Microsoft. So Alex, that $100 bet we did was at IGV. Yeah, you thought this was going to turn into a bull sandwich, so we have no idea. We'll see. We'll know at 4 o'clock. SX, let's tighten the stop. So Greg, I know you don't like me tightening stops, but a stop yesterday's low makes no sense to me. Giving up all those gains.
You're assuming it's going to go down there. Just give it time.
No, I'm not assuming it's going to go down there. I'm saying it should not go down there.
Okay. So it's just a disaster stop. Right now, you don't have enough information to raise the stop. Not for a swing trade.
All right, well, I guess I'm just tighter because my stop would be under 90, which is still $6 away.
Well, just set an alert there.
All right.
Doesn't it's I'm looking at your 15-minute chart. It's in a nice, beautiful uptrend, and it hasn't even gone sideways. So it hasn't developed enough to give us enough information to place a stop.
SPSC. Wow, I've been watching this thing climb up for a while. I've been having up and down alarms, and down alarm just went off. This thing's getting dumped, but that's steady selling. That's not.